We are here, Benicia and I, to welcome you to Arise and Shine. We're back, Benicia.
Let's go. We're back.
We
We're
are
back. We're back.
back.
It's Saturday
Yes.
morning, and
Yes.
afternoon now, and
Yes,
we're
I
ready to
know.
go. Yeah,
We're ready to go. We're
ready to
super
go.
excited about our guest today.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to let Benicia introduce her because she probably will do the introduction way more justice. They know each other from their
Yes.
journey and part of
Mhm.
their journey before I even met Benicia. So, Benicia, why don't you take it away and tell everybody what a special guest we have with us today?
Yes, today we have none other than Madelaine Gordon, who is the former CEO of Super Sidekick and the current CEO of Co op Staffing and Recruitment. She is located in St. Louis, Missouri. And their motto is that they believe when individuals are in alignment, that success is inevitable. And so I'm
Yes, I
just
love
so
that.
excited to have her on. Her story is full of challenges and triumphs. And so she is amazing. She's a mother of three children, actually, a single mom while doing. Multiple things, just juggling multiple things and doing them well. And so, without further ado, let's bring her on.
Hello, Miss Madeline. Hello, Miss Living a Life
Hello.
Empowered. How are you?
I am wonderful, ladies. Thank you for having me on this morning. I'm excited.
Yes, we're excited to have you for so many reasons. I mean, Benicia named a few of them, and what intrigues me is that with all of the things that we said
Hmm.
you are a rising woman of God,
Yeah.
and that you tip your hat to the accomplishments and even the valleys that God has brought
Hmm.
you through. So I can't wait to hear what wonderful things you're going to share with our audience today.
Yeah, me too.
Tanya, do I need to go back out and come back in because I can't see or hear her?
Sure. Why don't you do that? That's
Okay.
fine. We will be right here waiting for you. So, Madeline, are you hearing everything okay?
I am. Let me turn up the phone and make sure I can hear myself. I can hear on the computer.
Sure. Why don't you do that? When you have the phone, you'll get feedback. So you probably it when you have the phone on, you probably can't hear the computer well. One kind of
Yeah, I
cancels
can hear.
the other out. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
my audio is coming up.
Wonderful. So take us all
Mhm.
back to your journey. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and
Sure.
give us some history.
Sure. So history. Teenage mom. I had my first child. Actually, I found out I was pregnant a week before high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a year later, I was pregnant again. And then almost 10 years later from that day, I was pregnant again. So my whole adult identity has been being a mother.
Mm,
They all have the same father, but he went to prison. And then the times
mm,
when he was around, he was very toxic and mentally abusive, financially abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I've just been doing this all by myself since a teenager. And so with that, actually, I like to say that he was in prison for like 7 years right after I had my second. And actually, that was like a decade of my 20s where life actually was good. And then
mm.
I had prayed very hard for God to, if he wasn't who I was supposed to be with, for him to remove him from my life. And then he went to prison, and
Wow.
everything was good. I mean, we never struggled. We did things. It was just good.
Yeah.
Um, and he came home, and I decided to be back with him.
Mhm.
And I always like tell my kids who are grown now that it was almost like how Lot's wife turned
Mhm.
back
Mhm.
and
Wow.
Yeah.
became this pillar of salt. It's like God
Mhm.
plucked me from that, and I still went back from it.
Yeah.
And I spent like a whole decade from that point um, dealing with the consequences of choices.
Mm.
And so it was 2000. Oh, the years have blended in together, but I guess it was about 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, a series of unfortunate events. I lost my job. I was
Mm.
laid off from a
Mm.
job. I lost my wallet with my last cashed check in there
Mm.
from the job.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I couldn't pay my rent and I didn't have, unemployment takes forever.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so on the 15th, they started eviction.
Mm.
Oh
And
wow.
so I found myself evicted. And so we had to go stay with their dad, which I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have a choice, right?
Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, we were there just a couple of weeks,
Mm.
and he wound up putting us out in the middle of the night for another woman.
Oh
Mm.
my.
Me and
Wow.
his three babies.
Mm.
Okay. And
My
so a
goodness.
family of four, you can't just show up at someone's house like, can I crash? You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Um, and my mom, she's 77 now, so she lives in a retirement community, so we couldn't go stay with her.
Right.
And the only person that had room and love enough to care for us was my sister in Charlotte.
Mm.
She had a family of four. So we showed up. I don't even think she had time to tell her poor husband we were coming.
Mm.
Wow. Mhm.
um,
Wow.
we
Yeah.
showed up and it was eight of us in a house. Eight
Mm.
of us in a house. Big house, but still eight different personalities.
Yeah.
How I live my life and raise my kids is different than the way she does.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
um, we had left everything behind, just what we could bring in a car in the trunk.
Yeah.
So my son had just started high school and playing on the football team, and he was starting as a freshman. And
Mm.
so everybody's lives were uprooted
Yeah.
um, because I had made poor decisions.
Mm.
And so, up until that point, it had been a thing about, my mindset had been as long as I take care of my kids, nobody should require or ask me for anything.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
so at the time, I was a very selfish, very bitter, good mom, but that was it.
Right. Right.
Mm.
So then I found myself in Charlotte,
Yeah.
and that is when things started to change for me.
Mhm. That is so, I mean, you've said so much
Yes.
already.
Yes.
The one thing that that really stood out to me is that one, you recognize and took accountability, because I
Mhm.
just don't believe in life that things can turn around for anyone until we take accountability.
You have
Yeah.
to
Um,
own it.
you
Yes.
have to own it, and if we all look back, there are things that we regret, or
Yeah.
things that we would have wanted to do different.
Yeah.
However, again, those tables can't turn without us,
Mhm.
one, acknowledging, and two, building a relationship with Christ, who then in turns renews our mind. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
so you go through all of these unfortunate events back to back to back. You find yourself in Charlotte, and this is
Mhm.
where we met. So
Yeah.
tell me how. So for the audience, let me tell y'all how I met how I met Madelaine, and then I'll let her
Mhm.
tell you the importance of community and how she went from being
Mhm.
selfish to being a person who turned into this individual who wanted to give and of herself, and
Mhm.
understanding the importance of community. So her
Yeah.
and I began to attend Elevation University right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to Pastor Furtick. And we were on the
Yes.
Hmm.
same greeter team. And, I don't know where you serve, but where we serve, we were more like family than just,
Mhm.
individuals that come together every week. And
Yes,
Yes.
so this one particular Saturday night, I think, or
probably.
Sunday, they asked me to pray. And so, I just closed my eyes and we began to pray. And I just remember the word conduit like coming out. Lord, allow us to be conduits for you. It had to be the Holy Ghost, y'all, because I don't even be talking like conduits. And so afterwards, this young lady, Madelaine, comes up to me and she like, girl, who is you? When you said conduit, I was like, I need to know this girl right here because she know
Yes.
how to pray for real. And so from that moment on, we just chuckled and laughed and we
Mhm.
began to just talk to each other and we recognized we have so many commonalities. We both were
Yeah.
from different states. We both had moved to Charlotte. We both were single moms. We both were struggling and we both loved Jesus and was
Mhm.
trying
Mm-hmm.
to make a new life. So, Madelaine, with that being said, tell us, your experience at Elevation, your
Yeah.
community, and how that began to turn the tides for you.
Yeah. So let me go back to when you were praying.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Oh, do tell, Madeline. We get the inside
so
track. Your version.
all eyes are closed, heads are bowed. I don't know Bernicia, right? And she gets to preaching. She said conduit. That one eye went like, who is
I
this?
can't. I can't.
One eye was open, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Because you just have your like perceived notions of what a God fearing, Holy Ghost filled
Mm-hmm.
person looks like. And Benicia, I'm like, "Nah, she too cute to be preaching like that. Now, come on, now, who is this?"
I can't.
Um,
You
so
know.
yes, I
Oh
will
my
never
God.
forget that moment. And so elevation and community.
Mm,
Oh, God, what I cannot say enough about that. So I know that there are people out there who will have and say what they say about certain particular institutions that people decide to go to.
yeah.
And my philosophy is if it helps people and brings people closer to God,
Hmm.
who are you to say where is the right place for someone to
Come
worship?
on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's good. That's real good.
Okay. So I want to say that my even my placements at elevation was on that path before I got to Charlotte.
Hmm.
So before I got to Charlotte, I knew about God. My mom had always been a church hopper. Us growing up, we'd be in one church and then we'd be in another one, and then we wouldn't go for a couple of years. So I always knew about God. She still instilled that knowledge and belief in us, but a relationship and an understanding,
Mm,
um, I did not have. To
mm,
me,
Mm-hmm.
God was something where you had to give up everything that you
mm,
wanted in
mm,
order to be accepted and loved. It was something where, the church lady's gonna talk about you if you don't have on the long enough dress. It was all these
mhm,
things, negative impacts and negative things that have happened that I really didn't want any part of church. And my sister in Charlotte, her husband is a pastor and she's a first lady. So my sister would always say, you need to get into a church. And to me, I didn't understand it. I'm like, God is everywhere. I don't need a church. Like you are being so judgmental, telling me I have to get into church. And I did not understand until I got into a church, a church that was for me. So I got to Elevation, and day one, their whole thing is, it's a big church, multiple campuses. You're not here to get something, you're here to give of yourself. Um, and so they have opportunities for you to get involved day one. Where in a lot of churches that I had gone to, you had to, go through members class and do all these things, and just maybe they might have a role for you. But from day one, no having to join the church, you join the church by giving of your time and your talents. Um, and so to me, that was mind blowing. And so I joined, no, I didn't join. So I joined the greeters team, which for me, I'm an extreme introvert. And then on top of that, I told y'all I was selfish. I just wanted to take care of my kids. So for me to join the greeter team where we hug and touch and talk to hundreds of people in one day, that was insane for me. But I wanted to do something that was going to make me uncomfortable, and that was it. And so I joined the greeter team. My daughter, she was 15 at the time, something like that. She joined to take care of the kids. And we were at church like 3 days a week on average. And I also was one of those people who's like, why church people got to be at church all the time?
Yeah.
Like, it's so not necessary, right?
Right.
But for me, it was necessary because
Right.
what was happening is I was able to pour into people
Mm-hmm.
and love on people. And the outreach at Elevation was amazing. So there was always things outside of the church to do. And I appreciated that because a lot of churches that I went to, I didn't see them doing anything in the community. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's important. Because you can't, like, it's not an exclusive club at church. Y'all got to reach the people so that they know what Jesus looked like, right?
Right.
Yes.
Um,
We are the church. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was giving, we were doing outreach. Um, and so pouring into the people helped me to not think about or be saddened by the things that were actually going on at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because after
Mm.
8 months, I moved out of my sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I moved out of my sister's house, got a house that I could not afford, right? But
Wow.
we needed to move.
Mm-hmm.
So um, they gave us the house, but like I was only on time that first month we moved in.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I was always
Mm.
late.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Things were
Wow.
so bad. We at one point we didn't have gas, so that meant we were taking cold showers.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have heat, so I needed to wash my hair. So my sister, when we stayed with her, had gotten my son a membership to the Y. She added them to her. They added him to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take his badge and go to the Y just so I could wash my hair.
Wow.
Come
Um,
on, Madeline. You
Mm-hmm.
come
you know,
on. Pushing. Just
have
pushing.
a car. There was times I didn't have a car, so I would have to take the bus. And okay, I'm kind of bougie. Like before I got to Charlotte, I never had I been on a bus. Right, where I am can only take a limited amount of groceries on the bus to feed us. Well, I ain't got money
Yeah.
anyway. Um, what else? I started having to give plasma twice a week just to
Mm.
feed us.
Wow.
And
Mm.
the shady people at the plasma place, y'all,
Not shady.
it
Blood
was
and shade. What?
it, it was it was scary, but it was necessary.
Right.
Hmm.
Um, there were so many things that I went through. Oh, it was so bad. Now this might be TMI, but I just want y'all to see how bad it was, but
Mm-hmm.
how content I was in my storm,
Right.
right? So
Mm.
I told y'all how we could only take clothes that we could fit in the back of the trunk to Charlotte. So I didn't have a lot of items that you normally have. So
Mm-hmm.
it was so bad that my best friend at the time, she had to send me underwear. Now,
Mm.
how
Wow.
eating is that? You
Yeah.
know, like
Mm.
I didn't have normal items. And when it comes between feeding the kids or buying some
Hmm.
drawers, what you gonna do?
You gonna feed the kids.
Right.
Wash out that
Right.
hair or do whatever. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I love
So
your transparency, Madeline.
Yeah.
yeah,
Jeez.
so it was awful. It was awful on paper. It was awful. But I
Mm-hmm.
was showing up at church. I was
Mm-hmm.
praising God. I
Come
was
Mm-hmm.
on.
giving of myself. I was pouring into others. I became
Yeah.
a leader of myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and nobody knew it was that bad. I remember we had a leaders meeting and for elevation. And so we went to a restaurant and I didn't have no food at home. And
Mm-hmm.
so as a mom, I felt so guilty. I couldn't eat it. So I ordered my food. I took a couple bites and I had to take it home to my kids. You
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
know, Elevation had to pay my rent. They gave me toiletries. They paid my electric. They paid. So can't nobody tell me what Elevation don't do for their people because they took care. They had to help us a lot.
They stepped
Mm-hmm.
up for
Um,
you.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
Um, it was crazy.
so So tell me what was your mindset in that
Hmm.
era? More so, why do you think you weren't willing to ask for help? Because we recognize that so many people struggle with that. I've been in that
Yes.
situation where you struggle with that. So tell me, why was it so hard? And
Hmm.
are you still in that same place today, or have you learned to allow people in so that you can be assisted in time of needs, whether it's financially, emotionally,
Yeah.
whatever the
Mm.
case may be?
Yeah. Well, my mom, she was a single mom. So I never grew up in a house with a man. I mean, she married some dude, but she long another story. Y'all got to bring me on for that one.
That's another show. Okay, that's another
uh,
show. We'll bring you back to
right.
that.
But I never had examples. I always saw my mom being strong. I always saw my mom almost self-sacrificing,
Mm-hmm.
not getting support. And so by default, that's how I've been raised. And we teach each other that that's just being a strong Black woman.
That's so
And that can
true.
be
Hmm.
That's a
that can
lie.
be detrimental to our relationships, our mental health, and everything.
Yeah.
So I still struggle with vocalizing my needs. I still
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but being at that point where I was at my lowest, um, that community that I built in that church, which
Mm-hmm.
I could not have gotten watching it online. I could not have gotten by
That's
just
so
going
good.
to church and leaving right away. It happened by actually going to church and being part of the church.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I remember the first time that I knew it was okay to be a mess. Because that's another thing. We teach ourselves that we always got to have it together.
Come on.
Yes,
Um,
the mask. Talk about
Yes.
yeah,
that mask. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So I had joined a e-group. So, they tell us to get on in small groups. So
Mm-hmm.
I joined a small group for the first time. I almost didn't go because I was depressed that morning. Because I think they were talking about evicting and all these types of things, and I didn't see a way to do anything right.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, Lord, I'm just gonna go. And so I
Mm.
went to the small group, didn't know these people in the small group really. And it came an opportunity where they just it opened the floor for me to be able to tell why I almost didn't come that day. And I
Mm.
was very transparent. I was like, look, I can't even pay my rent. I almost didn't come today. I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah.
And in that moment, those
Mm.
people that I did not know, they pulled together for me,
Jesus.
and they got to telling other people in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the start of me getting support and being okay and not embarrassed about it.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they would see me in church and nobody was like, that's that girl with 3 kids who needs help. Nobody
Right.
was talking bad about me. I still was allowed to be a leader. It wasn't like I was below anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
they pulled together with genuine hearts, which allowed me the space to be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me the space to be
Jeez,
a
that's
mess.
so
That's so good.
important.
A safe
Yeah.
place. A
Yes,
And
safe
that safe
place.
place is so
yeah.
important.
And so honestly, now that I'm back in St. Louis, on paper, my finances are better and things like that. But because I don't have that same community,
Mm-hmm.
I'm back to where, I don't have that same safe space. Um, and I'm back to where I don't ask for help, or I will sit with things that probably need to be shared with others.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Hmm.
we're glad that you're not sitting today and that you are here and said yes to this platform so you could
Yes.
share today. And I just believe the same God that is in Charlotte and met you there is the
Mhm.
same God that will meet you right where you are, because
Yeah.
that's just the type of
Hmm.
God that He is. And what I love about your story is, so you have all of these unexpected events. You come to Charlotte, you begin to build this relationship with God,
Yes.
and in the midst of you building the relationship with God, you're still going through, because some people, have this false sense of, once I get this relationship with God,
Yeah.
everything is just going to fall into place.
Hmm.
Well,
Yes.
spiritually we do become new, but we have to
Yeah.
work this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would rather definitely go through any season of my life with God
Mhm.
than not with God. Whether it's
Yeah.
hard,
Yes.
I'm on the mountain, where I'm in the valley, I want to make sure that I'm going through it with God. So, one
Yes.
thing that is so amazing is that even in the midst of the hardness, you still were able to stay connected. But
Mhm.
what I want to fast forward to is you found yourself, even in the midst
Mhm.
of community and everything going in a different direction, you found yourself in the same predicament
Mhm.
again and
Yeah.
having to move back to St. Louis, but that is where God really met you. This is where the story gets real good, y'all.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about how you transitioned back
Yeah.
to St. Louis, and then that pivotal moment where you had to, what you told me is to write down what you
Mhm.
knew you could do and who you knew you were. So
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Sure. So I spent 2 years in that house of late rent. Um,
Mm.
and so they got sick of me.
Mm.
I want to say that they gave me grace where they didn't take me
Yes.
through the eviction process.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
one day I got an email saying that they were wanting to sell the house. And I actually know for a fact that they just wound up renting it again because I'm a stalker, right? So I know that they sold it, but they gave me grace, which I
Yeah.
appreciate now
Yeah.
because that would have been a whole nother just thing. So
And
they gave me
Madeline,
30 days.
And Madeline, I
Huh?
just want to make sure that that people understand you weren't sitting home just chilling. You were
No.
working, you just
Yeah.
weren't able to make ends meet. So I just
Right.
wanted to make sure that they understood you wasn't just
Yeah.
like, you know what, it's late and it's late. But no, you were doing the best you could in that season.
And
And
I'm
that's what
glad
it
you
is.
brought that up, Benicia, because there's so many people that are in that place right now. We have
Exactly.
police officers,
Right.
teachers,
Yes.
emergency
Mhm.
response people that are sleeping in their cars
Yes.
Mhm.
in Charlotte
Mm,
because
Mhm.
Jesus.
they have been evicted or can't even
Mhm.
afford to get things together enough to apply and move in somewhere. That's so very real right
That
now.
is
Yeah.
real. Such a good
Yeah.
point. Mm-hmm.
Now I will give this disclaimer though. Um, Bad decisions and pride and I'm not a good employee, which I found out later and came to that realization
That's
once I
real.
got to Charlotte. Once I got back to St. Louis, but I had good jobs when I was in St. Louis. I
Mm-hmm.
worked, legal department in a mortgage company, worked straight with lawyers. With great benefits where they paid for my daycare. I had good jobs, but I hated working. And so I had done like network marketing. So I thought that that was going to be the thing to free me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I made decisions, and every new job that I got, I received less pay and less benefits and less freedom,
Mm-hmm.
which made me hate the job even more. So by the time I was in Charlotte, the last job that I had, I was making $10.50, which I made $10.50 in high school.
Right.
Um, and ten dollars
Come
ten
on.
dollars and fifty
Yes.
cents
Mm-hmm.
not enough
With three
to provide
kids.
for
Yeah,
a
no.
family of four.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I was giving plasma and everything. And just once you get behind, if you're not making enough, you're gonna stay behind and it's just a snowball.
Yes. Yeah.
So I
Definitely.
get the notification that I'm going to have to move in 30 days. And of course, I'm devastated because I've had two evictions at this point. So
Mm.
my credit is shot. I don't have a job that makes enough money. I don't have anything saved for a first deposit in the first months. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I call my best friend at the time. I'm just a mess and crying. And I thank God for her at the time because she was the one person outside of church that I could just be my entire mess with,
Mm.
Mm.
and still
It's good
feel
to
loved.
have those, right? It's good to have
Yeah,
those.
and still
Essential.
feel loved and cared for. So my mom, which she has like this spidey sense whenever I'm upset, like
Mommies.
yeah. So she calls while I'm on the phone with my best friend, and she's like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" And I tell her, and she had been wanting us back in St. Louis anyway. So she was like, yes, this is my chance to get her back home, right? So she was like, well, just come back home. And I'm like, Mom, my pride, here's my pride again. I'm like, I cannot come back home in the same situation that I was in when I left. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to come home and I don't have a job. I don't have anything. I'm not coming back to St. Louis where people know me and they're going to ask me what you've been doing this past 2 years, and I don't have anything, and I'm having to come back home. So
Wow.
I told her no, and she got off the phone, and she's not worried about what I'm talking about. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, right?
Love mommy.
And right. In a couple that just like 2-3 days, her and my sister that lives in St. Louis, my oldest sister, they had gotten me the place that I stay in now. They had paid the first month and the last month. I'm first and last month for me. And so at this point, it's like I ain't got no choice to go home because here's a place for us to move to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have help to move like all of our furniture from Charlotte to St. Louis. Um, it was a mess. So it
Mm.
got to where the last day I was supposed to turn in my key to the landlord so we could do the walkthrough, to make sure everything was cleared out. I was supposed to pay all the money that I owed because, like I said, I had always been past due, so I owed them like 2 months. Um, I didn't have that money, and I didn't have anybody to help me move out. So my mom, she came from St. Louis in a minivan with my niece so that my niece could help her drive. And so now you're talking about 6 people in a minivan. There's
Wow.
no space for us to bring anything.
Right.
Once again, leaving Charlotte the same way I went to Charlotte with what we could put in the trunk.
Wow.
Wow.
Full
So
circle.
TVs, I mean, the house was full of stuff. It was clean, but I wasn't able to move anything, and I left like a thief in the night.
Mm.
Okay.
Wow.
Get back to St. Louis, and now depression hits because now I'm disconnected
I
from.
was I was gonna say, Matt, I
Yeah.
mean you've been bounced around 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
your level of resilience, I mean, at some point you had to react to all these blows coming
yeah,
at you.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That is definitely when it set in because outside looking in, people thought I was in Charlotte thriving, and I was spiritually and
Right.
mentally.
Right.
So nobody knew that I was out there struggling. Like family, once I got back and I started sharing my story, they were like, "Why you didn't tell nobody you was struggling?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so depression kicks in.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm back in St. Louis. I had to leave my car, y'all. I had to leave my car.
Mm.
So I left everything. So here it is. I'm back in St. Louis. Rent's gonna be due in 30 days. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. The money I had like $600 to my name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from like the last check of the job I was working. And so food, that money went fast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So my mom had gotten me furniture. So there was furniture. People had like hand me downs and pieced us together stuff. So the first thing that I could do is start going to the welfare office, start applying for food stamps, start applying for welfare and anything that I could. And there was so much red tape because I had just moved from another state. I don't know why
Mm.
it was so difficult, but moving another state, they wanted all this verification for this and that and the other. And I would spend hours on the phone, many trips to that office and sit in there for hours. It was just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I had gotten that last letter where they had said, no, you're not getting this $280 welfare check that you're wanting, right? So I cry. I to my knees, snot and nose type of
Yeah.
cry.
Well,
Yeah.
that
Um,
was stored up, I'm
I
sure,
was just
for
gonna say that. Yep.
even
yeah,
being in that situation. I didn't have three faces looking at me, but when
Yeah.
I
yeah,
walked through that very situation, to
yeah,
me, it's soul robbing.
Mm.
It's like,
Yeah.
it pulls everything from you. It makes you feel so completely less
yeah.
than
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
that it almost feeds that monster of pride. And I'm always talking about how pride kills and
Yeah.
shame
It does.
kills.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But some entities that are supposed to support and uplift us through that process of a hard time actually do the very opposite.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
And it was
kudos
hard
to
with me and
you.
my kids
Yes.
because here it is, we've had to move again, and
Right.
I'm not promising them anything better.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even muster up the strength to say it's gonna be all right. Because
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't know, you
Mm.
know? Um, and my middle child, she had thrived in Charlotte. She
Mm-hmm.
it was hard for her to move back.
Yeah.
So here it is. I can't promise y'all anything. We left everything behind again, and I
Mm.
can't promise anything. So
Mm.
once I got
Mm.
that letter, I was devastated. And
Mm.
I was devastated for two reasons. One, because I desperately needed $280.
Mm.
Wow.
Desperately.
Mm.
And I was also devastated because Lord, how can $280 bring me to my knees?
Jesus.
Mm.
Jesus.
$280. I
Mm-hmm.
am shook by $280.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
just that defeat and that need of desperation colliding together, it was awful. It was awful.
Wow.
So I cry, and then I get up and I'm like, Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm almost fussing at him at this point. I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, if you're gonna have to do it, and I don't want to be homeless again.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up after I pull myself together and I pulled out a sheet of paper.
Mm.
I began to write down everything that I knew how to do, everything from every corporate America job that I've had,
Mm.
experiences from network marketing, my experiences from juggling a household of a single parent, just making things still flow and work. And I had this long, crude list of skills that I naturally already had in me.
Mm.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. I know a little something. I know a
Mm.
little something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 years of advertising. I didn't get my degree, but I had like 2 years of credits in advertising. And so I'm like, okay, let me reach out to some people who I know that have businesses.
Mm.
And I inbox them on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, I know you've got your business doing this, that, and the other. Um, this is what I know how to do, and you need me.
Mm.
Just
Yes.
like
You
just
need
like
me.
that.
That is
No,
so powerful. That's
Yes.
perspective and
Yes.
mindset. It goes
Mm-hmm.
back to the question that Phoenicia asked you
Mm-hmm.
before, because where your state of mind is going to take you to your next.
Right. Right.
So
mhm,
you positioning yourself, and it's something that my dad shared with me as a little girl. You have the goodies,
Mm.
and
mhm,
you need to stay in that space of you need me. I
Right.
have something
yeah,
that you need.
Mm-hmm.
God gifted me with this, and
mhm,
you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest you take
yeah,
my call.
Right.
Yes, that's
mhm,
powerful. Benicia, you were going to add
yeah,
to that.
So I'm over here like this is the part, the whole
She rocking.
story.
She's rocking.
The whole story is amazing. And it's your story and you own your story. But this part of the
mhm,
story literally has had me thinking over the last couple of days since we've talked
mhm,
because, it's a couple of things that stand out to me. Number one, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain so those that
Yes,
read it can run with it. So you
yes,
had to write it down first so that you
yeah,
could see a different vision of who you were. So all of
yes,
these different
exactly.
circumstances, whether you were with the gentleman and we allowed them to treat us in a certain manner, or you move to the
Mhm,
next situation, it's all because
yes,
we don't know who we are. And it
yes.
reminds
mhm,
me of
Whose
the
we
other
are.
scripture that
Yes.
says pride comes before a fall. So the one thing I love about your story and most stories of triumph is at some point we had to get sick of ourselves. I'm
Mm,
sick of
get
me.
out of our own way.
I'm
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sick of me. And sometimes, depending on our resistance, we do have to go through all of these things till we get to that point and
Yeah.
say, you know what? I don't know. And God is saying,
Yes.
great, because I do. And I just needed you to be in a posture of
Mm-hmm.
desperation, not just for what I could do for you, but what I want to do through you. And so
Yes.
Yeah.
now you sit here as a single mom and a CEO, not of one company, but of two.
Two.
And it
Mm-hmm.
all came from these events that brought you to a place where he wanted to show you who you were all along. So
Yes.
Already. Yeah.
encouraging that that was
Yes.
already in you, but
Yes,
this
ma'am.
this
Yeah.
situation, this last one, this camel this straw that broke the camel's back changed your whole life and the
Yes.
whole trajectory.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you this question, and I'm gonna see if you remember the answer you gave me. Like, the one thing that you think besides God, absolutely he gets all the credit, but what is the one thing that caused you to be able to pick up the phone and say, you need me? Do you
Mm.
remember what you told me?
Was it me telling you the confidence?
That's it. Let's talk about it. That's it. So
Yes.
Confidence.
how do you go from such
Confidence.
a broken place to confidence?
But once I saw that list, I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I know a thing or two. I know a
Evidence.
thing or two. Yeah,
Evidence.
I don't have a. Didn't have a title connected to it. I had never been affirmed on a job. I had
Mm,
never been affirmed in a relationship or anything like that. But once I looked at what I was like, okay, they do
mhm,
need me. You know, I don't know that I don't technically know that they need me, but they need me.
Yes,
mm,
And
ma'am.
so from day one, I approached every interaction with people who might be making six figures
mm.
as, look, we're about to exchange. You about to get my gifts and talents, and you're gonna exchange that for some coins in my PayPal account.
I know that's right. I
Yes.
know that's right.
Um, so just doing that, I actually got 3 clients
Mm,
within like a week's time.
wow.
Okay, and then within a month, I was fully booked. Like
Mm,
I couldn't
Mm.
literally physically do any more work myself.
Jesus.
And then within 2 months, I was overbooked,
Mm,
like
Mm.
overbooked. And
Jesus.
then within 3 months, I had to start hiring a team
Mm,
to
mm,
help me.
mm,
Um, so I like to say that I was broken on that floor over that $280, trying to figure out why God would begrudge me of $280. Why would he deny me $280? And it's like he was telling me in that moment, and I didn't realize it. He was like, you worried about this little $280, but I
mm.
am about to bless you exponentially.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Jesus.
Above and
And it did not
beyond. And that is
Yeah.
above and
so,
beyond.
yes, that is so powerful because to
Yeah.
me, not just meeting and hearing your story, um, it's like, and I'm a transplant too. It's like he
Mm-hmm.
picked you up
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
took you to university,
Mm,
God University,
yeah.
Faith University,
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Belief University,
mm-hmm.
and then took you back where he
Mm,
wanted you
yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
live in that, to
Mm-hmm.
be evidence
Mm-hmm.
of all of that. Had
Mm,
you not had that
Oh,
detour, things probably would have gone very, very
oh,
differently.
right. Right.
no. I
Yeah.
would still be entertaining that toxic relationship, broken up or not.
Mm,
That was still almost 20 years of back and forth of something that was killing me
mm,
in slowly.
mm,
We have not seen their father since we've been back in St. Louis, and we've been back what almost 3 years.
mm.
So had I not gone to Charlotte, I would not have been able to break those bonds that I had with that
Wow.
relationship.
So
Um,
good. Yeah.
I would not have realized that I have enough talents to not work a job, which I hate. I
Mm,
hate working for someone. I
Right.
am a bad employee. Not everybody is built to be an employee, and that is me. I will work a job and I will, sneak on their internet. I will steal their paper clips. Like I'm a be
Yeah.
late. It's like I'm just
We
not built.
pray for the woman that let go, Self awareness is key, girl.
It
Yes,
is. And coming
yes.
into the
So
awareness that you're an entrepreneur. So if I'm
Yes,
called to be an entrepreneur, then although, God does want us to bloom where we're planted, we're not telling y'all to steal
mhm,
paper clips because y'all think y'all God has called you to be an entrepreneur. But what we are saying is that she was able to recognize that
mhm,
God has had called her to a different space. And I think that's powerful because I think sometimes we sign ourselves up for stuff and then we're
mm,
mhm.
frustrated when we're in that position when God is like, that's because I
Yeah.
didn't design you to be. And so,
yes,
what I also love about this story is, and it's so similar to my story, Tanya, as I'm sure many viewers out there, is that when I moved here, it seemed like all the natural things, the assets were taken away. But
yes,
my
Mhm,
spiritual life grew
mhm.
exponentially, like you said, which was the foundation for everything. Because when he
yes,
Yeah.
gave you back the, not even back, but when he birthed the business in you, now he knew the business wasn't going to be, I'm just gonna make this money. Not that you're
Mhm.
not gonna make money, because he wants to bless you, right?
Yeah.
yes.
And you went from crying over $280 to having clients that was paying you $2,000 a month. So we
Mhm.
serve a God who wants to
Come
bless us.
on,
However,
restoration.
he wants to make sure our motive is
Yeah.
right. And I
Yes,
just believe from where you've come from, now you're in a space that you can grace this platform and say, God has been good to me. He in turn gets all of the glory, and it
yes,
continues, I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, to keep us in a humble space. No matter
Yes.
what I have, when I look around, you got to remember, you got to go back and say, if it wasn't for him, where would I be? Do you,
Definitely.
you agree with
Yeah.
yeah,
that?
Because because had I been the same person I was, if I would have started this business and been successful, had it been before I went to Charlotte, I would have tooted my own horn.
Yeah.
Like,
mm,
look how I was
look
able
what
to
I
accomplish
did.
this as a
Mm-hmm.
single mom who didn't need help from anybody and this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I will never forget my friend that had to buy me underwear and ship it from St. Louis to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget how my church had to pay my rent. I will never forget how my sister and my brother-in-law had to put up with four individuals who lived different than them. I will never forget
Mm,
people like Benicia, who was speaking to my spirit on time she didn't even know she was speaking to
Mm-hmm.
my spirit on a low day.
Mm-hmm.
So who I
come
am is a
on.
culmination of all the people who have touched my life in that short period of time. And I am who I am because I mean God showed up through people.
Mm-hmm.
um and so had
Mm,
I started this business before Charlotte, I would probably be this very arrogant person thinking that, yeah, I proved the world wrong. You can do anything as a single mom. Just that whole attitude of selfishness,
Mm-hmm.
which
mm.
before I left.
Say that,
Yeah.
Madeline. That's so
Powerful.
powerful. Benicia, you took me back to because I came here in an efficiency. Everything was next to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Praise God for my cousin here who gave me shelter. But
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mhm,
right, he strips everything away.
Yeah.
And I just want to put a light on this story I that's unique for me in that I was the child, one of six, mom
mhm,
and dad, but first generation Americans. They came to
mhm,
this country to build something for us, right? But my dad was an entrepreneur, and he had that keep plugging, keep going thing that you have, Madeline. I saw the story evolve. So sitting
mhm,
listening to you now as possibly one of your kids, the story that you showed them is don't
mhm.
give up. The story that
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
show, very emotional for me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they will think twice before they sit down on anything, because what they saw was mom standing strong
Mm,
with God's help to deliver.
mm,
Yeah.
And she was blessed for that. Oh, things are broken, but I'm going to make a list and I'm
Mhm.
going to talk about what I'm good about. And then I'm going to go let people know that they need me, because I got to
Mhm.
feed my babies. I got to build a life for these children
mm.
and myself. You are one of the most courageous women I've ever met.
Oh, don't make me cry because I'm a big
Yes.
baby too.
I'm emotional too. I mean, this is because I'm sitting in that seat
So,
too as a
yeah.
single mom. I'm sitting in that
Yeah.
seat
Mm-hmm.
coming from
Yep.
a broken background and
Mhm.
seeing how community and life and pouring in and allowing people to pour in and being authentic and being
Mhm.
transparent and what
Mhm.
freedom comes in all of that. And
Yes. Yes,
the
ma'am.
key to everything is that not only did you not give up in the natural, but you kept your relationship with God intact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because you continue to do that, he said that he orders our steps.
Mhm.
And even when we can't
Yes.
trace him, because I think it's emotional for me because I know you. I
Mhm.
seen the transformation. And I
Yeah.
seen, I remember once you moved back to St. Louis and I seen
Everybody's
you
like,
with the
take a praise break.
with the with
Yes.
the with the first business. I had to reach out to you
Mhm.
and
Mm.
say, girl, I see you.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
see you. And I want to
Yeah.
encourage you that you are an encouragement. And so I'm overwhelmed. I'm emotional right now because it just
Mm-hmm.
shows the power of God. It shows
Yeah.
the power
Yes.
of the bounce back, the
Mhm.
recompense, the restoration. But it also shows how we have to do the hard things. The other
Yeah.
thing that you said that I appreciate is you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. It was uncomfortable to
Yes.
join a group when you
Mhm.
are an introvert. It was uncomfortable to go back to St. Louis, a familiar place with nothing. It was uncomfortable to go to the welfare
Girl, come
office,
on.
but that that place is what really birthed what
Yeah.
God has put in you. So with that being said, let's just talk about the businesses real quick so people will
Mhm.
know what Madelaine
What you
Gordon does. Can you
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us a little
because
bit about the first one and how you transitioned into the one that you are currently the CEO over?
Yeah. So the first one
yes,
was
girl.
super.
And I want to say something real quick before you
Yeah.
start that, because Karen made a point that what you're doing and all the things that Benicia spoke to is part of your children's DNA now.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's so good. So
You
good.
and like Placida even mentioned the word legacy.
Mhm.
You
Mm,
building legacy, and then you add
Jesus.
these companies to them. So please tell us what they do.
Yeah.
Please tell us what you
Yeah.
do.
And it's definitely in my kids' DNA. I just see in the way that they operate,
Mm,
especially like my 19-year-old. So they didn't go to high school. They wound up being homeschooled. My 9-year-old is homeschooled now. But she travels. She teaches herself Swahili. She understands that
Wow.
for her, college is not the best route. She wants to go teach overseas. Like,
mm,
so how they think is outside of the box.
mm,
Um, and they keep me
Yes.
accountable. They keep me
mm.
accountable when I have hard days because business is tough. Operating a business is tough because you if you don't do the right things, that the money doesn't come. Whereas if
That's
you go
right.
to a job, even if you are a bad employee, you're gonna still get your check, right?
Right.
Um,
Mm,
Right.
so on hard days, they keep me accountable. They like, look what all you've been through and look what you were able to do in a short amount of time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
relax. Like,
yeah.
they just be honest with me. Like, relax. You're good.
Mm,
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the first business was Super Psychic Services. After I realized I had my crude list, I'm like, okay, there has to be a title I can put to this. And so I discovered that there was a thing called a virtual assistant. So
Mm-hmm.
that is what I called myself in the beginning. And so I'm a firm believer in fake it till you make it can be um, detrimental because a lot of people will use that as a crutch and won't evolve and won't grow. Okay,
Right.
they'll be habitual fakers. So
Habitual fakers.
so I took my list and I became obsessed with business.
Mm.
So I remember Pastor Stephen saying something about are you curious or committed?
Mm.
So I
That's
wasn't
good.
curious. I wasn't curious about business. Like I didn't want to just stick my toe in the water. You
Mm.
know, I was committed to making it work and committed to being successful.
Mm.
And so I didn't get a lot of sleep. You
Mm.
know, when people would tell me, you don't have to work so hard, you don't have to do this, that, and the other. I'm like, girl, bye. You ain't been
Mm.
homeless
I
twice.
know. Come on. That's right. You don't have three
Don't
babies
show me.
looking at you. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
so I had to tune out all the other people who were, telling me, my mom was sending me job leads to go fill out applications. And I was like, no, I
Yeah.
got this.
Hmm.
And so, I did the virtual assistant, which basically is I supported businesses virtually
Hmm.
online. So I would do things from, checking email in the beginning to doing remote office management and all kinds of things. So I learned a lot really quickly just by taking on all kinds of different clients. And then that allowed me to decide what I like to do. It helped me to be very competitive where I could raise my prices. I started charging $15 an hour,
Mm.
and then it was up to $60 an hour.
Mm.
And then I decided, I don't want to exchange my time for dollars. So I stopped doing an hourly amount and would do packages.
Yes.
And
Mm.
so um, then I started helping people start their own businesses online and helping them to launch courses, launch products and services, and things of that nature. But then I decided I wanted to shift gears so that I could really operate as a CEO. And there's a really big difference from being self employed and being a solopreneur
Yeah.
versus being a CEO. And so what got me to where I wasn't going to take me where I was going to go.
Mm.
And I'm
Mm.
very thankful for that start because I did uncomfortable in super psychic services. I was getting on podcasts. I was being visible. I was definitely pushed outside of my comfort zone. But people were attracted to my authenticity and I would show up. I started my own show. I
Mm.
didn't worry about, I probably on this live has said 500,000 times.
Right. Right. Exactly. I love it. Show up
I
as you.
didn't, yeah, I didn't worry about perfection. I worried about
Thank you,
real. And,
God.
and
Yes.
that meant that I attracted my type of people.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yes.
everybody. You just need your bodies,
Come
right? I just
on.
need people for me.
Come on.
Come on.
I also learned early on that I don't want people to be lukewarm. You know how I say, "Mama, I don't need you to be lukewarm. I need you to love me or
Always.
hate me."
Right.
Right.
So then
Mm-hmm.
I can know that the people who are showing up are not just, lukewarm. They rock with me.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I was able to be very successful. But then I wanted to shift gears to start a staffing and recruiting company because for me, it's a lot of money that can be made. I mean, pre-COVID, the sky fell, but
It's coming back. It's coming
Oh,
back.
yeah.
It's coming
the
back
Look,
the,
stronger
the
and
sky
better.
look,
has
Madeline, you
fallen.
just have to pivot. It's
That's
just
it.
another pivot,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
The sky
Because
has
Stronger and
now they
better.
need different kind of people.
Yeah, I've been through worse, so I'm not worried. I'm not shook because
Yeah.
I've been through hell and back, so I'm not really
Right.
worried. But I wanted to start my staffing and recruiting company because there's a lot of money to be made. I am very good at seeing where gaps can be filled, And so then that makes me very just great for employers because I can come in and I can see where their needs are, and then I also understand what it's like as an employee to not like your job and how important it is to actually
Mhm.
be in alignment
Mm.
with the job you have, because I don't feel like everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, but I feel like we all need to be in alignment with what we do in our lives.
That's so
um,
Yes.
good.
and so I can help people find jobs that don't just meet their monetary needs, but meet their every need,
Their
and where they
purpose.
can find their
Yes.
forever place, and so that they don't be like me making bad decisions and just going to lunch and never coming back.
Hmm. Oh God. Listen though, you
There
said
she goes being authentic again.
listen, you said a mouthful though, because what you were able to do, just think about it. And I believe in this scripture wholeheartedly, even at times when you might have to say it with tears running down your eyes, that Romans 8:28 is real. All things work together for the good of those that
Mm.
love the Lord and are called according to purpose and your purpose. But what I love is that if you never would have been in that job that you hated, you
Hmm.
couldn't use it as leverage to help these individuals who hate their jobs. And so I'm learning not to despise the things that I've gone through,
Hmm.
but to use them. And the other thing that you said, I want to get up
To
and shout, but I
propel you.
can't.
Yes.
One thing that I love is that you have an audience that's called to you, which means I
Hmm.
don't have to tailor myself to be a certain person other than who
Hmm.
God created me to
Yeah.
be. And
Yes,
you
exactly,
might be
Venetia.
tired of
Yes.
hearing my story, but it's 10,000 other people that's waiting to hear it. And that's how
Hmm.
you know who belongs in your circle,
Hmm.
who
Your
is
tribe.
called
Yes.
to you. Don't ever stop telling your story. Don't and tell all of it. I don't want to just
Hmm.
tell the triumph piece. Oh, you see me now. I'm a single mom. I'm the CEO. What
Yeah.
I want you to feel it and see it and recognize it, because that's the type of God we serve. We
Yeah.
serve a God that's in the end, the beginning, and the middle. And we're not telling it as a sob story. I'm
Hmm.
telling you because I want you to know I've been broken. I've been afraid.
Come on.
I've gone through. I didn't know, but now, but one, God kept me through every
But
season,
God.
and now look at the fruit,
Hmm.
because I still had the tenacity to keep
Yeah.
going. How amazing is
Yes.
that? Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
girl, and let me just say, yes, it's powerful. You got all of us, and me and Benicia can't move, but you see, keep
look,
going
I just
in and
keep
out of
rocking.
camera because we in rocking mode, and we got a couple people here need a usher that they run around the house just listening to your story.
Ah,
It's just so powerful to me, Madelaine. The transparency, the
Mhm.
authenticity, and the fact that you were obedient to the
oh,
shifts and the pivots. You were
Jesus.
obedient to the shifts and the pivots that God had you go through.
Mm,
You closed the door on shame and pride. And yes, we
hmm.
Mhm.
slip and we fall,
Right.
right? We fight, that's an ongoing battle.
It's an
Yeah.
But the
ongoing
fact
battle.
that you shut the door once
Mm,
means you can shut it again.
that's
Mhm.
right.
And when you do, he steps up and positions you
Mm,
just the way he wanted to begin with.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He exposes you to the people, to the life lessons, to the God lessons. And you said, yes, God.
Mhm.
Mm,
And that's all.
mm.
Yes, God. And look how many lives have been touched.
Yeah.
Look how many
Oh,
warriors have come from your womb because you said, yes, God.
Mhm.
yes. Over
You
and over
know,
again. Yes,
yes,
over and over again. I don't want to, but I'm going to. I don't want
Yeah.
yes,
to,
He had
but
he had to drag me a little bit.
yes, kicking and screaming sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
hmm,
Mhm.
But you still win. We all have a
yes.
Yeah.
choice, like you
That's
said. You
so
know what I
good.
mean? We
That's
all have a
so good.
choice.
Yes.
And sometimes we go reluctantly sometimes, like, Lord, I trust you, moving here. We didn't know what to expect. I just knew you said this is where to go. And I think it's so
Yes,
Yeah.
powerful that we have a place that we can go back to when it gets a little cloudy. So when I
yes,
came and I didn't get a job instantly, when I came and I had to work temp, making $10 an hour,
yes,
7 months, 8 months,
yes,
going to perm my own hair, had to go to the barber shop, not the hairdresser. That's why nobody can take your story from you. You
yes,
have not walked in my depths. You don't know the
Mhm.
things that I've had to endure. So I'm not going to let
yes.
the enemy nor anybody else shut my mouth or tell me to tell my story in the way you want me to tell you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No,
That's
because it
right.
comes
Placido said it so well.
to.
Taste my pain so you can understand my praise.
Woo!
Come
Okay,
on.
okay. So
So,
let's reel it in,
what
reel
in
it
the
in, Benicia.
world else are we going to ask this dynamic woman? Can you
I
believe? Look,
when
we've been on here for, and we've been on. Did we not tell you, Madeline, we was going to blow the
Yeah. No,
timeline? Did we
but
not give you the
that
disclaimer?
tends to happen when I talk to people though.
It's
Yes.
so powerful. But the one thing that I would want to give you the platform, the freedom to say, what would you say to that single mom that is in a difficult space right now? What would you say
Mhm.
to that essential worker who has maybe lost their job? Or those individuals that are on the front line, and it's scary, like it's
Hmm.
Yeah.
scary. You don't know which way to go. What would you leave with our audience on today to encourage them?
Community.
mm,
Mm, mm,
Community. Community, community, community.
mm-hmm,
You know, even if you are not a Christian, even if you have some, you know, underlying issues with things that have happened with you in the church, even
mm.
if you have a little bit of resentment, um, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not a perfect. I don't even know what a perfect Christian is, but I
Me
don't
neither.
consider myself a perfect Christian. I'm
Mm.
not a Christian that everything out of my mouth is about God. I feel
Yeah,
like everybody is called to touch people in different ways, and
absolutely.
I'm authentically that's not who I am. I don't feel like I have to stuff God down people's throat, but
Right.
um just know you don't have to be a certain type of person, but mainly community. Even if the community isn't necessarily a Christian community, but you
Mm,
need people who is your safe space where you can be not okay. There are a
mm,
lot
yes,
of people right now who are not okay. We're
mm,
mostly isolated these days, and that can really harm your mental health. So being isolated and worried about bills, worried about will people you love get sick, worried about how long is this thing going to hold on, what's going to happen for the future of America. Then you got that fool that fool in office, like we have no
okay.
leadership. And so the world is scary right now.
Mm,
You need
mm-hmm,
community. If I had not have had community, the community for me was the catalyst to who I am today.
mm.
So community with God, with my struggles, community. You got to find that community.
That's so good. And what I would say as well, just to piggyback off of that, is that you have to be careful what type of community you attach yourself to.
That's
Because
true too.
one thing you and I talked about is making sure you're connected with people that have your mindset. And we're talking about the healthy mindset, not the previous one where we want to, do things on our own and
yes,
just step out on emotion and things of
Yeah.
that nature. That's where I found um, my community, and especially with Christ. Like you said, there's viewers on here that may not know him, but he desires a relationship with you
Hmm.
nevertheless,
yes, he
because
does. Yes, he
a
does.
relationship with him is what changes our mindset and
Yeah.
helps us
Mm-hmm,
to welcome and to be able to discern who we should be attached to,
Yes.
because
That's
who we're
important.
attached to makes all the difference to where we are going to go and how we are going to go through. So
Yeah.
That
that
is
is,
so true.
mm-hmm,
That is so true.
yeah,
And if you sit in him, and like you said, there may be people here that
yeah,
don't really know him that well,
mm-hmm,
or they're, even what Madelaine said,
mm-hmm,
every word out of your mouth is not
right,
uh, a scripture.
yeah,
But if you, what saved me was sitting in his face and
mm,
just talking to him like we're talking right now.
exactly,
Just having some dialogue,
right,
because I know he's there and he
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
wants to spend time with me. And if I sit still in him, he's going to let me know that I need to be around a Benicia
yeah,
or a Madelaine
mm-hmm,
or a Leoline or
mm-hmm,
a Karen, or people in my sister circle that he's identified. I
yeah,
felt in myself that these people are key to my development.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And if you're quiet, things will get validated, and he'll do it through another person. He will
mm,
bless you
Hmm.
through another person.
yeah,
So that community is so good. I
it
love
is,
that, because we can't grow without each other. We
mm,
have to rise
Right.
together.
yeah,
So
And
I
you have
put
to also, you also have to, I'm sorry, you also have to be okay with separating yourself from family.
mm,
mm,
mm-hmm,
Like
that's good.
and
I know that
friends,
I
and
know
some
that
friends,
we're taught that family is everything. You don't talk about things that happen in a household.
mm,
Like family, especially amongst the Black community, has been kind of toxic. I mean, and so you don't owe relationships that keep you in a broken place.
mm,
You don't.
yeah,
Um, and so if you have to distance yourself from people so that you can be okay,
mm-hmm,
if you find yourself always drained
yeah,
and in a bad mental space after
That's good.
you come in contact
mm-hmm,
with certain people, you
yeah,
have to. That's not your community.
right,
Hmm.
Okay,
mm-hmm,
community is
that's
going
it,
to hold you accountable. Your
Yeah.
community is going to push you to be better. Your community is going to allow you a safe space to be who you are. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes family is not going to allow you to be um, who you are. And they're going to remember, little Ray Ray from when you was 8 years old. You'll never be who you are really in their eyes. So,
mm-hmm,
that's something to
that's
think about.
good, that's really good. There's
This
toxic
has been
people. Mm-hmm.
No, no, no. Go ahead about the toxic people, because we need to give them a shout out and let them know that they're, the doors to the left. The exits are to the left and the right.
I was I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. There can be toxic people that come across our path, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's business, whatever the case may be. And I
Mhm,
think that's why we have to continue to grow in our relationship with God so we can discern those things.
mhm,
And make sure that we keep our hearts right in the midst of it. So,
Yes.
our job is to recognize it, whether it's the president, whether it's whoever. God placed those people there. God placed those people in our family, all of those different
Yes.
things. However, our job is, and it doesn't mean that you have to be in close proximity with the individuals, right? So there is
Mm-mm.
separation that must come.
Yeah.
But the key is making sure that our heart stays in the right place so that we
Mm-hmm.
can hear God and that we can continue journeying and allowing Him to order our steps. Because if we allow our hearts to be hard, then it's going to affect us in a
mhm,
negative way. And so, yes, we want to recognize it. Yes, we want to separate if need be. But the key is making sure that we keep our hearts right, which isn't always easy when people have betrayed you and just done different
mhm.
things to you. However, it's profitable. It's not easy, but it's profitable, and we have to do it with His help so that we can be
Yeah.
all that He's called us to be. Nobody is worth us missing the mark, period.
Mhm,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And it really does go back to that paradigm of the relationship between you and him.
yeah.
And there's no space for anybody else in that
Mm-mm.
personal one-on-one.
Nope, it's
And
not.
that it's just, that's what's going to help Madelaine, Tanya, and Benicia pivot when we need
Yeah,
to pivot, because
absolutely.
mhm,
we're walking in the steps that are ordered. I'm so grateful that
So
you've taken this
grateful.
time to spend with us.
It's amazing.
So many of the folks that have joined this conversation are grateful. I can tell you that from the comments.
Hmm.
And I want to, I can't even believe we're working our way into an hour and 15 minutes, but I want to give you the final word. I want you to just to say your piece to these folks. You've told them search for community. I put your information in the feed so they can find you on Facebook and Instagram. But is there anything else that you want to share with the folks that are watching or listening to us on the podcast?
I guess mainly is that I know it's so cliche, but trouble don't last always.
Come on. And
Amen.
that's how you end it.
it,
That's
it,
how
it
we
Amen.
end this
really
season.
it really doesn't. And I know when I had, like, I think the worst thing for me was washing my hair at the Y.
Mm,
Sneaking
Mm,
in to wash my hair at the Y. And I'm like, God, how am I here? How is this going to get better? I can't even fathom how my life is not going to always be like this. And I
mm,
think sometimes when we're really broken like that, and we're getting hit left and right, and you can't even understand, like, what did I do to deserve this?
mm.
And
mm.
you start, feeling bad about,
Yeah.
just, you know, but there is light even if you can't see light.
Ooh, that's
Come
Um,
on.
good.
and it doesn't mean you're not gonna get hit again. And so that's why it's so important for you to, I feel like, be giving of yourself even when you feel like you don't have a lot to give.
Mm,
Because if you're helping that person who is homeless, if you're helping that person who can't feed their kids lunches because they're at home all day and they don't get the free lunches anymore, if you are pouring into others, you don't have the mental capacity to worry about your own issues.
yeah.
It just
Yes.
becomes less significant. Um, so instead of sitting in your own pity,
Hmm.
find ways to give of yourself. Find
That's
ways
good.
Amen. That's
to
so
give of.
good.
Amen.
Thank you so much
Thank
again,
you so
Madelaine.
much.
Benicia, did you want to just wrap us up and close us out? Thank you so, I can't even say
Thank
it
you
enough.
for having me.
Yes. Well,
Please
again,
connect with her.
we I'm so proud of you, personally. I am extremely proud of you. I'm so glad that God allowed us to connect and he knew that this day would come. That's what I love about him. Just full circle, but on a different plateau. And so, thank you for your story. Thank you for your humility, your transparency. Thank you for your confidence. And
Hmm.
I wish you nothing but the best. I
Thank
know there
you.
are plenty of doors that are waiting for you to unlock. And so, thank you just for your time today. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
sacrifice for your kids. And thank you for what you do for the kingdom, and doing it uniquely because
Hmm.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so many people are still trying to find that space. Who am I? Um,
Yeah.
and and I just appreciate the fact that you're allowing God to shape and make and mold you. So thank you again. Thank everyone who joined. Abigail, Lee, we seen Karen, we seen Miss O, some individuals we haven't seen. And we're asking
Lassiter
that
and
you would
Marilyn.
share.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plassy, Narissa. And we're asking that you would just share. We don't do this podcast to get accolades and views. We get
Hmm.
this podcast so that people will know that there is hope. That no matter where you find yourself, I couldn't have said it any better, Madeline. That trouble don't last
Last
always.
always.
So please
Yes.
share, join Then I Rise, and follow everything that is going on. And thank you, Tanya, for being such an amazing co-host. I love you.
Thank you.
Oh, I love you back. God bless
Yeah.
both you ladies, and just keep walking in your purpose. And
Yes.
that goes for you guys out there too. You'll see us back here next Saturday with another story of triumph.
Yeah.
And be sure to engage and take care. Keep your mind right and keep rising. Bye,
Bye.
Bye.
everybody.